Hi, and welcome to the $1 Million Wellness Masterclass. We run these every 90 days. This quarter, we're talking about the 20 ways to reframe your health practice. Right now, it's time to reinvent, time to refocus, readapt, and reframe the way that you're running your practice, particularly in light of recent events. Now, what's important is that these events have actually provided incredible opportunities. I believe our patient community and the world at large has actually accelerated towards what I believe has been an inevitable change, that is moving to a more virtual, remote way of interacting with our health practitioners and the community and the business world in general. And what's interesting is that because we've been forced to move into this space, we're working from home. We've been traveling less with the restrictions and what have you, and that's still, in some countries, that's still very prevalent. In other countries, the restrictions are easing, of course, but the point here is that our community, our target avatar health patient, is less resistant than ever before to adopt online methods in terms of interaction and communicating with you and your practice. Now, even though, yes, you may have a physical modality, chiropractor, osteopath, myo, massage, there are still incredible ways to innovate and reinvent the way that you can practice and deliver your services. Now, I want to talk about, before we get too much further, where are you right now? I mean, are you in are you still sitting in a real state of fear? Are you becoming more aware and realizing that really, at the end of the day, you've just got to let go and allow a new world order to really transpire in a good way, right? In a good way. Are you feeling empowered, like you're actually focused and ready to reframe and ready to really step up your practice and innovate and change things that maybe you've been wanting to change for years, but now the opportunity presents itself, right? Or are you in that action? Are you actually empowered? You're associating and hanging with the right people, with motivated people. Have you moved on to you're not sweating the small stuff anymore? You've accepted that, what, this is what's happening. Let's embrace this and really move forward. And I guess most importantly, if you're in an action zone way of thinking, then you probably are very clear about what's personal and what's professional, and not attaching unnecessary meaning to the fact that maybe it's a quiet day or it's a busy day or whatever's going on. It's not related to you personally. It's just your professional sphere. So wherever you're at, I just want you to just acknowledge that and, just understand that there are solutions. And, today I'm going to be talking about 20 different ways. We're going to be overviewing them. However, a lot of them you may already know, or you may not be quite ready to take on. That's okay. Just let it kind of flow over you and just kind of sit with what I'm going to be talking about, and the right action will come to you. You'll know what to do first, right? Okay, so a disclaimer, always ensure that you are fully compliant with your local regulatory advertising guidelines and or your professional accredited association. Very, very important. Okay, so who am I? My name's Andrew Arnold. I'm trained as a chiropractor, originally trained as a naturopath. I've been a health or complementary health practitioner for just over 30 years. I graduated as a naturopath in 1989 and as a chiropractor in 97, and then as a sports chiropractor a few years after that. I've done numerous trainings and seminars and motivational courses and programs, as many of you probably have as well, right? You build this up over your career. So a short while ago, probably not that short now, maybe 5-7 years ago, I realized that my fellow practitioners were struggling. They could access the logistics and the upskilling, but they didn't necessarily have the mindset support, the emotional support, to understand what they needed to, or how they needed to actually be in their practice rather than what they needed to keep doing, if that makes sense. So I created a program called the Intern Program, and it's a done with you online training. And basically it supports practitioners to rediscover that mindset, that critical mindset, to attract not only clients in general, but the right clients for them, and to really manifest that just amazing practice that they've always dreamt of. That's my passion, helping complementary practitioners build their ideal practices. So whether, over the last few months, you may have been open, closed, or a degree thereof, stuck in crisis, or feeling confident, or sinking, swimming, whatever it is, whatever place you're at, courage is the most important quality right now. It's about just standing in your own power, accepting what's happening, not attaching unnecessary meaning, and being courageous, right? That's what now is all about, more than ever. I see it all the time. Patients see me in my practice, and they have a story, and really the main thing that I'm doing, and the main thing you're probably doing with your patients and clients, is you're giving them a new perspective. You're helping them reframe. That's what this masterclass is about. It's about helping you reframe where you are right now. And, I think what's important here is that, like you, I'm sure, you go through many challenges. Healthcare is a complex landscape. There are regulations, there's political agendas, there's media challenges and stories, and there's so much going on in the world of healthcare in general. And I've certainly had my fair share of crises and challenges. And what I've learned is it's so important to meet those challenges head on as fast as possible, and adapt, reframe both internally and externally, and recognize that out of crisis there is opportunity and learning, and always having that positive outlook. I've taken many challenges that I've had over my career and created learnings, and that's essentially what the $1 Million Wellness Practice Intern Program is all about. It's accumulation of all of those learnings over my career. Now, staying with this line of thought, a mentor, a very close friend, and a key mentor of mine over many years, talked about, and still talks about, perceived reality versus actual reality. You'll have people in general, human nature, we have a perception of what we think is going on. It's not always what is actually going on. And I'm going to invite you to just have a look at what you feel is happening in your practice right now, what you're perceiving. And then I want you to think about that. And then I want you to maybe look at the stats, go to your trend analysis, go to your practice management software, and just have a really good look at what is actually happening, right? Because you may find it's very, very different. And if you're stuck in a perceived reality thinking, you know what, last 3 months has been a struggle, and there's been hardly any, not as many patients coming through, and it really brings the energy down, the vibration down. You end up really sitting in a fear, lack, survival type mode. When we move into our actual reality, we take back our power. Our external environment no longer controls us. We come from a more internal locus of control, move into abundance and creation. And I've been through this many, many times where I have had a perceived reality, thinking that my practice was doing not great. And I've stepped back, looked at my 90-day stats and trends, and realized in some cases I've actually the practice has been healthier than it has ever been before. It's been crazy. So understand the difference between perceived reality and your actual reality. Now, just on this line of thought, when you start to come from actual reality, this is where you build knowledge, you ask questions, you talk to the right people who are qualified to provide you with the right feedback and the right information. These might be mentors, particular colleagues, or a particular authority, let's say. This then creates a clearer and concise understanding, which builds faith, confidence, belief, adds to your overall wisdom, and that then helps your creation and your expression and your ultimately your well-being and your practice and your team, patients, community well-being. You know, on this other side of the coin, if we're sitting in perceived reality and we think we have a handle on what's going on, but really we're ignorant, you know, to the actual facts, then we move into worry, doubt, self-doubt, right? Fear, anxiety, the energy drops, and we start suppressing that, repressing it, and that's a downward spiral. So please be, wherever you are right now, please just be kind to yourself and just accept which side of the coin you're sitting on right now. And it's okay. Don't beat yourself up, but it's just time, you know, just bringing awareness to this will create a massive shift. All right. Just purely bringing your awareness. So, okay, just be kind to yourself here. Okay. So once you've managed to look at your actual reality, and you've got a handle on that. And by the way, you know, whatever it is, it's okay. It's perfect. It's exactly where things need to be right now. So that's also known as your current business view. And, you know, once we have a handle on our current business view, our actual reality, we can then move to our BBV. We can then move to a better business view. And there's always a better way of doing things. And it doesn't mean what you're doing right now is not great. Yes, I'm sure it's been working for years, I'm sure. But now more than ever, it is time to think about a better business view. And as I said, it doesn't mean that what you've been doing has not been working. I'm sure it has for many years, but a lot of businesses can become quite stale. A lot of health practices can be left behind if they don't think about a better business view and innovate, reframe, right? So what's possible? Well, it's really, really simple. You just get to thrive in your practice. You get to continue to thrive. And that has been my experience through many, many challenges and very incredible crises. And I have survived and thrived by applying the methodology, not only in my program, but also what I'm going to be sharing with you in this webinar. So the question is, you know, why are the 20 ways that I'm going to talk about, why are they even necessary, right? Well, they help you resolve what I believe are 3 key problems. And those are, number 1, client retention. You know, our clients over the last few months, and this may still be happening with you, depending on where you are in the world, the clients are dropping out. They're fearful and they are scared about their choices and their options. They're confused, right? They're getting a lot of information from all sorts of different sources, and it's creating confusion. And as a result, you know that when we get into a state of confusion, we tend to move into fear. We move into paralysis and non-action. And our clients are just going, you know what? I'm just going to stay home. I'm going to stay safe. And that's what we're being advised to do. And as I said, with restrictions lessening, we're now mobilizing a little bit, but in some countries, it's still very much locked down. So this is what our clients are being advised to do. And even though you may be considered an essential service, there are many clients who still feel that they don't feel confident, and that's their choice, absolutely. The problem number 2, as I see it, are that the way that you're delivering your products and services may be outdated. And, you know, it is certainly, that has been my journey. It's important to really look at what you're doing and think about a better business view, right? And number 3, think about your client communication strategies. What are your touch points? How are you communicating with your clients? What have you been doing and what could you be doing differently? You know, we need to be thinking of different ways. Things were changing even before the challenges of the last few months. There was a real evolution and a shift to online. Now, as I said earlier, it has accelerated, right? So your goal always is about, with your communication, it's about continuing to build the trust, continuing to build your credibility, familiarity, loyalty with your clients. And this will help you evolve through these very challenging times. And this has certainly been my experience over this last few months. So in this webinar, as I've alluded to, I'm going to be talking about 20 ways to reframe your thinking and help you solve these 3 key problems. Now, broadly speaking, there are 3 3 broad solutions, if you like, and then within those 3 broad solutions, I'm going to be breaking it down into 20 examples and suggestions of what you can do. So the first broad solution is that it's a practice-focused solution. We've got to be thinking about delivering our virtual, we've got to be thinking about delivering a more virtual client management process, a more virtual client management strategy. Number 2 is more client-focused, focusing on fast solutions which enable a new way for us to operate our health practices. And 3, practitioner-focused, ensuring that we maintain absolute excellence and compliance, right? Regulatory, advertising compliance, for example, and professional compliance. So before we jump into the 20 ways, and we will get to it, I want to talk about what's described as the 3 brain networks. Now, as health practitioners, you're in your room, you're doing your magic, you're consulting, you're just doing amazing work right now. Up to this point, you may have been using online strategies, but really that you're leaving the tech to other people and what have you, and not really diving too much into what I call the tech zone. You've been sort of sitting in this genius zone, right? Now, for many health practitioners, this is where we typically live, is over on this left side. For practice owners, we have to wear a number of hats, and we have to juggle both tech and business zone, right? And we have to integrate them. So what I'm suggesting is that now it's not about whether you want to or you're trying to, you have to get this handled. You have to understand and learn how to integrate and regulate your default mode network and your central executive network, your genius zone, your tech zone. That's called your salient network. And this takes quite a skill, and it's something that is beyond the scope of this webinar. However, I just want to open up your awareness to this concept. And if you are struggling with tech zone, for example, and you are just saying, I just want to stay in genius zone and leave that for other people, that's fine. You still have to overview and oversee what is happening in both zones, right? All the time. And you don't really have much choice right now. You have to actually step this up, okay? So understand that more than ever right now is an essential service. For many of us, we are considered essential services. Different countries, different rules, I understand. But certainly I'm in Australia, and we are, as a chiropractor, I'm considered an essential service. And there are many other professions that are also considered essential at this time. So with that, for me personally, I absolutely take on the responsibility the responsibility of the potential that I have to change lives. And I understand that is powerful, but it comes with great responsibility. So my intention today is to help you solve these 3 key solutions by 20 suggestions, right? Just 20 recommendations. I'll be suggesting actual examples. And again, some of these I've used, some I have colleagues who have used, and they're just simply recommendations. They're not the way to do things. I'm just wanting to provoke your thinking. So let's get started. Number 1, telehealth, right? Telehealth. Telehealth was becoming very, very popular and very busy before the challenges this year. Now it is exponentially busy, particularly in the medical world. I'm going to put it to you that as a complementary health practitioner and as a physical complementary health practitioner, chiropractor, osteopath, myo, for example, telehealth also can apply, right? There are some incredible ways that you can deliver a consultation providing rehabilitative advice, exercise advice, comments on treatment progress, reviewing your clients, or just checking in, just emotional support. There are many, many ways that you can do this as a physical therapist and still provide great, great value to those patients who are not comfortable coming to you, right? And there are many of those still out there. So I'm going to encourage you to consider telehealth no matter what type of profession you have. Think about whether, how you can do this. There are all different ways, from a simple Zoom link that you send to a client to a fully integrated service. And for example, we recommend Clinico as a software platform that integrates telehealth. However, there are add-ons and standalone platforms and all different ways of doing it, right? But you can, I'll let you dive into that. I just want to introduce the concept. So, you know, if you're thinking that it's too impersonal, or you can't handle the tech, or whatever, or, you know, it's your modality is not suitable, or you don't have the software, you know, just understand that they're just limitations that you're putting on yourself, right? You know, this is absolutely something that is viable and possible for you in your practice. So as I said, Clinico is one suggestion of somewhere to look. Number two, online bookings. we were very resistant to online bookings for a number of years. At the beginning of the challenges this year, in January, we decided we're going to dive in and look at online, and it's been tremendously successful. Our existing clients are adopting it, and new patients are booking in, and that's right across all our modalities. Our reception is adapting. They struggled a little bit early on, but they are adapting. Excuse me. So I would recommend, if you're not doing online bookings, do online bookings. Your clients are sitting at home 500 meters from your clinic, not wanting to go out. They don't necessarily want to wait till the next morning. You may have limited hours. We reduced our hours. Therefore, you know, I always subscribed to having a receptionist available at 8:45 every morning to receive phone calls. Now it's not necessary. They can pick up, they get the message. We can now work the hours we want to much more comfortably. It's so much better. And the patient can go, no problem. I can either leave a message and just wait for a call back. I'm happy with that. Or I can jump online, just hit the button. And it's easy. It's easy to do. So if you're not already doing it, lots of practices do it, I know. There's plenty that don't. I encourage you to do it. It takes the burden off your reception, you know, just relaxes. Anyway, I encourage you to do it. It really, it's definitely the way to go. We use SmartSoft, I have done for 20 years, and they have an integrated online booking service. I'm a big fan of SmartSoft and the front desk practice management system. So I do 100% endorse SmartSoft. Okay, number three, what I call connect community calls. This is where we recommend that practitioners, rather than reception, identify 2 or 3, 4 key patients per week, let's say, and just make a call. Now that call is not a sell. It's not we're not diving into a consultation. It's simply a 5-minute check-in just to authentically reach out to a patient and say, you know what, I'm just reaching out. I've been seeing you for a long time. I have not seen you for the last 3 or 4 months. How are you doing? And it's about that. And if you're coming from that authentic space, the client will receive that, okay? And if you're feeling uncomfortable making the call, it means you're coming from a sell type thinking, I guess, unconsciously or otherwise. So just let that go and just reach out as one human to another. That's really what this is about, and it can make the world of difference. If you can imagine, you know, your doctor or your chiropractor calling you, your dentist calling you, hey, it's Joe, I'm Joe, the dentist. I'm just wanting to check in. How you doing? It's massive. It's really massive impact. So please consider making some what I call connect calls to your clients. Online programs. We put together a very small online program. It was literally 3 short videos. I enrolled 3 of my practitioner team, and we created this program. Now, basically, it's a free thing. It's a value add, and it's online, so that your clients can access it very, very easily. It's a great way to showcase your practitioners and for them to just share their authentic self. And it's a great way to add some value, and not that hard to do. You may need some tech support, but there are all different ways you can do this, from very simple, just sending them the email, key people an email, putting it in your newsletter even, or adding it to your Facebook business page. Various ways you can sort of disseminate this information, or you can use an online platform. We recommend Ontraport, but that you can use Loom or Zoom, for example. There's all different ways to create videos. Just to, again, be very mindful of your advertising regulations and what you say. Be mindful of claims that you're making and supporting evidence. My recommendation is to keep it benign, keep it really vanilla, keep it quite bland if you like, or at least bland from your perspective, not so much for the client, but just keep it very, very simple, generic and general, okay? And just be very careful of what you can and can't say. Very, very important, particularly in the as you are making this publicly available. So again, Ontraport is a complex software really, but MailChimp is another one that you could use. It's worth experimenting, and we'll talk about why these sites are probably worth looking into for other reasons in just a moment. Virtual workshops, number 5. If you are running health workshops, you've probably considered moving to a virtual space. A good thing to do is do these live and then record them, as I'm doing with this webinar. And then you can again add it to your website, archive. You can add it to your newsletter, or send it out to the recipients that were going to attend or are attending the actual workshop. So really good idea to do live training. People, as I said, your clients and your community are less resistant to this process. Beforehand, maybe they were like, Zoom, what's Zoom? How do I work Zoom? They might have felt a bit of trepidation, but now that it's now a situation where, I mean, for give you an example, I'm catching up with my family all over the world every week at the moment. My uncle's 80, is 80, my auntie's close to 80, my other relatives, and they've never used Zoom before, ever. Now we're catching up on Zoom. They're learning how to use it because they have to. It's the only way that they can safely connect with their extended family from around the world. So people of all ages are now having to get the tech going and get it working. And this provides an opportunity for you as a health practitioner to reach more people, right? It's an opportunity. Of course, Zoom, we love Zoom. Zoom is super popular and accessible and affordable. There's a free version and a very inexpensive paid version. Okay, number 6, ebooks. Been around for ages. All I'm suggesting here is that you look at your blogs and you evolve them, you ramp them up. So what you can do is, and another term for this is an opt-in. Let me just explain what an opt-in is. An opt-in is where a potential customer gives you an email in order to receive something back from you. So obviously, if you're providing something to your existing database, you've already got their email, right? But an ebook can be a great way to actually to encourage new customers to provide you with their email. So you can send them a newsletter, for example, and just offer them some information about who you are, what you do in that format, okay, without selling, without enticing, right? Because these things are prohibited by regulatory authorities. So it's important that we opt in, but we're providing education, okay, education-based marketing, if you like. So a great way to build your database. Now, a software that you can use is this guy here called, This is beacon.by, and Beacon offers, again, it's a free platform, but you can pay. There's a paid version. And you can simply take one of your blogs and you can create an ebook. It then creates a URL, and that URL is a live link that you can then send to your database in your newsletter. You know, here's our free report on how to manage your posture better, for example. And then you can offer like an ebook, and this will allow you to make something a bit flash rather than just a blog on your website. Chatbots, you would have seen these, you would have used them with some frustration at times, maybe other times very smoothly. Either way, it's an experiment, right? You might want to trial providing just another channel for your patients and clients who are sitting at home, they're on the internet, they're on your website, and they're just spending time in front of the computer a lot more than they would have done, say last year, for example. They see your chatbot. You've designed it so that you've got frequently asked questions built in that can take burden off your reception staff, of course, answering a whole bunch of FAQs. So again, Clinico is one platform, which is a practice management software, which has this built in. Otherwise, you can use standalone. And again, this is a tech thing. This is you talking to your IT guy and going, how can we create a chatbot plug in or add on for my WordPress site or what have you, and then have your reception manage that whilst they're in the practice. So again, you need to think about, well, what happens when you're closed? Who manages the chat? There's all of these factors, right? But hey, you know, not out of the realm of possibility. And I would invite you to just have a look at it. You don't know until you have a look. Okay, customer relations manager, a CRM. Now, in my experience, most practice management software do not have a built-in CRM. A CRM is a platform, and for example, Ontraport or MailChimp is two examples where it's a platform which allows you to create automated touch points. So for example, the patient sees you on Monday, new patient, and they receive an automated email from you, which might be a video or something to say, hey, it's Andrew, just checking in. I saw you yesterday, just making sure everything's okay. Please call if there's any concerns. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon. It might be something really, really simple, but it's automated. You know, or, you know, I'm just checking in. Here's a bit of additional information that I'd like you to just read over before the next consult, whatever it is. So CRMs, and the good thing about CRMs is they actually track the messages back. They track the messages that you're sending. They help manage your email database in a much more innovative way, right? And you need this in these conditions that we're in right now. It is very important that we do provide more touch points, more interaction with our clients, because we need to reach them in their homes, right? And we need to, we know it's a new world order, right? We're in a different playing field. Online store, you know, this is something I considered for a long time. I think online store can again provide a value add to your practice. There are some pros and cons, and there are certainly some things to keep in mind. With an online store, it's very important in my view that you only provide generic, benign, general products. For example, suggested books, and again, even being careful with the content, obviously what type of books, but you've got to be very mindful about what products your practice is endorsing, right? Because you're endorsing what you're selling. You're putting your practice behind that. And if someone utilizes a product and then something happens because they misuse it, or you provided misinformation around how to use that product, it possibly could become complicated. So without overthinking this, I think there are some simple products that you could market online, which might be a vibrating massager. For example, it could be some books, some audios. It could be some resistance bands, some very basic exercise equipment, a TENS machine, something like this. Anything that you feel requires professional guidance at the point of sale, then obviously no, that shouldn't go on your online store, and provide plenty of information and instruction with the product online. So please seek advice from your health professional XYZ, right? So all of these are obvious, but don't rule out an online store. Shopify, of course, is the main company that offers this service. However, your practice management software, again, there may be an ability to build that in. So it's certainly worth investigating. Okay, number 10, online office procedures. Now, look, like most practices, you may have a dusty old folder down the back that no one looks at, that hasn't been updated for years. We were certainly in that boat. We then went to an intranet and we moved everything into a Dropbox account and tried to make things accessible in Word format. We found that really people weren't accessing it. Keeping in mind that there are certain documents that by law you have to provide, your team, your reception staff and practitioners must have access to. HR, human resources documents, for example, handbooks, injury register, and so on. These documents, your team must have access to these, right? Other things are more resourceful, might be to do with induction, training, or just reception, day-to-day operation. So either way, what we want to do is create a platform where everything is not only accessible by the right people at the right time, but they can also be updated live and everything is synchronized. We want an automated process. So what we decided is to move to Google and G Suite, and we created a G site. And I would recommend looking at this. It's enabled, it means that my reception can log on to G Suite. They can then go to the G site. They can access the relevant document. They can then edit it in Google Docs, and it's all live. It's done. I don't have to then be privy to I can see what's been changed and what's not, but essentially it's all automatically updated. So again, talk to your IT person, talk to a G Suite expert maybe, or if you are a bit IT savvy, certainly just have a bit of a play with that. It's not overly complex, but you do need a G Suite account. Relatively inexpensive. Okay, social media connect. Now, again, social media, what we're talking about is your professional practice profile, which will have a little bit of personal, but it's predominantly professional. I'm talking about your Facebook business page, your Google profile, your Google My Business profile. Then there's, of course, Instagram for business. There's LinkedIn, which is professional. So, and they have a business page and a showcase page and what have you, company pages. So we want to, first of all, make sure that everything is uniform across all of your profiles, same banner, it all looks the same. People know they're it's reflective of your website and everything is uniform. That's the first thing. Second thing is making sure that your content is compliant with your regulatory authority. And again, I'm going to talk to you a little more about that in just in a short while, about how you can maintain that. With what we call B2C, which is business to client or practice to client, it enables you to stay connected. It enables you to build your practice profile, stay front of mind, answer questions in general terms, and obviously with confidentiality in mind, but also a little bit of personalization. Your clients want to know a little bit about who you are. You know, you're out walking with your family, walking your dog, and they want to see a little bit about, well, you know, who is Andrew behind the veil, a little bit. And you can obviously be, you know, you can decide what you're comfortable sharing, but just keep it very, you know, semi-professional and minimal. Live. It's by far, if you want to up the ante with interaction, go live. There are many platforms. Every social media platform offers live. Don't be fearful of live. Embrace it. But again, just know there are some fundamental guidelines when you do a live. And again, the best place to start is to thoroughly review your regulatory guidelines, advertising guidelines, and your association advice. Just review that very, very carefully and understand what you can and can't say. And there are certain key words. There are obviously making claims without evidence, and anything that's related to a testimonial, for example. There's all sorts of things which you must be mindful of. And you know, once you feel confident and with that side, with that background, then by all means, and just look, keep it very simple, keep it a little bit personable, and keep it very, very basic and very general. But I would certainly encourage you to do some lives. You know, you may just talk about the practice in general, for example, and you know how, hey guys, we're back open, we've been closed for a bit, and we're doing great. We really look forward to, you know, if you need us, we're here for you. And you know, something general. It could be just keep it really, really general. Okay. Rule of thumb is that YouTube is your public arena for live video, live archiving of videos, if you like, and showcasing video. I recommend Vimeo or Wistia for your internal catalog. So anything that's maybe induction training that's more private and is embedded in specific places, then that all goes into Vimeo and Wistia and is private. And look, you can make these things public with Vimeo, but it's the advice that I've had from very powerful business people and successful business people online is follow this model. Public is your YouTube, internal Vimeo, Wistia. Okay. E-news, the newsletter. Look, you know, I know you're right now, you're probably going, yeah, look, newsletter's dead, email's dead. Well, from what I'm hearing from leading business people, and I'm talking about, for example, an organization called Business Blueprint, who basically are the leading business group and training right now in Australia. They say, they contradict that. Newsletter is not dead, email is far from dead. And they recommend continuing to offer a newsletter. We do a newsletter once a month, have done for 10 years. You have to remember your clients are online right now. That's escalated. They're looking, they're listening, they're watching. They want to know what's happening with you. They want to know what's happening with my dentist, what's happening with my physio, my chiro, who I've seen for 20 years. What are the critical updates? What do I need to know? Is there some news? You know, I trust my chiro, I trust my physio, so I'm going to trust the information that I'm getting from my physio. And I may not be watching the news or want to watch the news at the moment because I'm just overwhelmed. So they may consider you as one of their authoritative sources. So please consider the newsletter. And as I mentioned here, we use Fiverr or Graphic River for, which is an inexpensive outsourcing for graphics, just as an aside. We use MailChimp to deliver our newsletter. Right, editable forms. Okay, number 14, editable forms. Look, simple idea. We use a company called Wondershare. It's a PDF editor, and we can basically build in form fields which allow the clients to complete the form online digitally. So we can send them their intake form or progress form or whatever it is. They can complete that online and email it straight back to us. This means that they're spending less time in your waiting room. And if that's a concern for them or for you, then that's an important thing. So it means that they can sit in their car, they've already sent the forms in, they can literally come straight in, check in with reception, straight into the room, get their adjustment or their physiotherapy session, massage session, treatment, or what have you, and then they can leave. And as I said, right now, in many countries, you are still needing to adhere to very, very strict restrictions and sanitizing guidelines, I understand. Wondershare is an inexpensive platform, very easy to use to create editable forms. Online exercise, again, been around for a long time. Now is the time to step this up for a whole bunch of reasons, right? People are exercising at home. The gyms are closed. The pools are closed in many countries, still closed. So people are doing exercises at home. You need to know that your patients are doing the right exercises in the right way. So you communicating it via telehealth may not be entirely sufficient. You communicating it in the room may not be entirely. They forget, they may not work. So provide them with pictures and use software, use a done for you platform, please, because all the images are there, they are accurate, and they've been tested and reviewed and provided by experts. Okay, this saves you resources. You can integrate this with your clinical notes. We recommend PhysiTrack. And again, some PhysiTrack will integrate with various practice management software, all online. And if you are particularly exercise focused in your practice, then I highly, highly recommend that you utilize something like this. Okay, the practice management software moving to the cloud. We've been desktop for years and years. I do recommend that you now move to the cloud. Most software platforms will have that functionality. When you move to a cloud-based platform, you'll find the integrations upscale a lot. Whether it's exercise, online booking, stat or trend tracking, telehealth, and even backup, all of these things will expand when you move to a cloud-based platform. And this will create, it'll just mean that your delivery to your client is greatly enhanced. It means that your practitioners can access their clinical notes outside of the clinic, meaning that that's less points of contact, less times they've got to come into your practice. They can really keep their time in the practice to a minimum. Again, important in these times, right? We recommend, of course, Front Desk. I'm a huge fan. They have a product called Prac Suite. Okay, moving on. Partnerships. Okay, so partnerships. What am I talking about? Partnerships are just what I believe is a novel idea for practice owners. Instead of looking at an individual practitioner to come in, I would consider a practice group, whether it be physiotherapy, podiatry, speech pathology, psychology, as examples. So this practice organization, typically they will have numerous locations that they work from, either standalone or they work within other practices. They're looking for locations to expand. They've got a done-for-you system in place. So they simply bring their systems into and integrate with your systems. And this creates a very powerful cross-referral and a great way to bilaterally leverage your practice, right? And particularly if these guys have a telehealth set up already, they've got a virtual online reach, it's only going to enhance your online reach. So it's worth thinking about or investigating some key partners and maybe having some conversations and just seeing what's possible. Team meetings. So we've got a big team, and getting everyone in the same room before the challenges of this year was very difficult. Now it's virtually impossible. We've started doing Zoom, and by the way, you can use Facebook groups, and there's a messenger group within a room that you can create within a private Facebook group now. And so I think other platforms possibly have the same functionality, but of course, Zoom will offer this. We now have our meetings much more regularly. We get a 90% show up as opposed to a 50% show up. And look, in time, we will go back to physical meetings, but our physical meetings will be much more of a big deal. They'll be like a real showcase, a real kind of event, if you like, with food, and it's going to be and that'll be later in this year, hopefully. But we will go back to our physical meetings, but it'll be a big deal, maybe 3 a year. In between times, take the meetings online, and I would encourage you to maintain your touch points with your team using Zoom. Live streaming, we've talked about live using social media. If you're, there's something else to consider is to use a software called StreamYard. And StreamYard is an integrative software with YouTube, and it's just a little bit more user-friendly. It's kind of like an add-on to YouTube Live. And look, for those of you that are a bit, you're interested in a bit more of the tech, this might be something to consider. It's a great way to jump onto a call with a client, for example. You could even do your telehealth using StreamYard, as an example. And number 20, finally, and look, there are lots more, right? But this is just 20 suggestions, virtual follow-ups. Now, with your virtual follow-ups, again, this is a bit like Connect calls, but you're doing it with a video instead. And Very, very powerful. So you may simply send a little short video that you do on your phone using Loom, Zoom, StreamYard, anything like that, or just live on, not live, sorry. No, this is private. So this is a private follow-up video to a client, so not live. So you might use Zoom or Loom, StreamYard as an example, or you may just do it on your phone and then save it and then upload it and attach it and send it and all that sort of, do it that way. The point is, I recently had a message from someone on LinkedIn. They decided to send me a quick video. Hi, Andrew, got your message. The impact was exponential compared to a general message, exponential. To the point where I actually wanted to reach back to that person and we engaged in the conversation. So he really got my attention. So get the attention of your patients and your community by doing little follow-up videos. And again, you might feel this is a whole lot of time and this, that, and the other. But right now, as I said, it's about adapting, refocusing, reframing, and doing all that you can to reach and connect and stay connected with your clients. So you might do this after report of findings, progress exam, or what have you. Okay, ClickMeeting is a standalone software where you can also do these virtual check-ins with your clients. Okay, so this brings me to the end of the webinar. I'd like to just introduce two key partners, partners of $1 Million Wellness. Marketing Movement is an approved content provider. Marketing Movement basically offer social content. It's location specific, so no two practitioners in any one area are provided with the same content. So you have like a membership agreement with these guys. And what happens is that they have an APRA, which is in Australia, that's our regulatory authority, providing approved content, which is compliant, right? Now you still need to read it through and check it for yourself, but it has been approved and edited and created by an APRA practitioner. Now, in other countries, there may be variations. If you are in a different country watching this video, you may want to investigate. So this really applies to Australia. This is an Australian type product. Or I would recommend you reach out to Marketing Movement and just ask the question of what would apply in your country. They're offering a small discount on their first month. And you can simply get in touch. If you screenshot this, you can get in touch with them. And Lindell and Megan are the two contact people that you'll need to reach out to. And yeah, just quote this program and they will assist you. Pure Bold is a company that I have used for the last 10 years, and they partnered with my practice and with $1 Million Wellness. Pure Bold is an expert in online for health practitioners specifically. So this company understands clearly the regulations and the advertising guidelines in order to provide you with a compliant advertising professional profile. Now, again, Pure Bold are offering a free strategy call so you can discuss your particular situation in more detail. And I would recommend that you do that. Screenshot this page, complete this questionnaire, and they will be in touch with you. Finally, I talked at the beginning about my passion, helping complementary health practitioners. I have a done with you, not a done for you, not a DIY, but a done with you program, which is online. However, there are 2 webinars per month, which are like an FAQ, Q&A type format where we can connect. And this program is 90 days. And what it does is it helps reframe your thinking. It helps get your head back in the game without teaching you the skill around your specific modality. This is non-modality specific and it's global in application. So if you're feeling like you need some support and you're not really ready for a modality specific upskilled program, then the $1 Million Wellness Intern Program may just be the one for you. I'm offering a free trial, which is a 7-day free trial, and basically you can have a really good look around and get a feel for the content. Is it the right fit for you? No obligation. You can opt out after 4 days, and that's completely fine, of course. But if you want to continue, then after 7 days, you'll receive another contact which will give you full access. You know, the thing about this program is, as I said, it's done with you. It's a remote type of delivery. You get to choose your learning style, whether it's a fast track or a deep dive immersion type learning. It's live and it's updated. It's always current. And as I said, non-modality specific and global. To find out more, simply go to my website here and click this button, and that will take you to the registration page, and then you can connect with the program and get started. Very comprehensive. This is my life's work in this program. 200-page study guide, lots of training notes, lots of models, lots of informational videos, and lots of download tools. And as I said, a live Q&A session every fortnight. This is very much about not only helping wellness practitioners, but it's about helping you promote in a compliant and professional way. It's about helping you partner with your team and with other practitioners and other businesses, referral partners. And it's about understanding processes. It is about scheduling. It's about understanding the art of scheduling. So there is a lot. These are the core principles. And this is, again, just an overview of the key features. I talked earlier just a little bit about the 2 ways that you can study, and there is what we call an immersion, which is where you can deep dive into notes and a much greater depth. That's about 4 hours per week, I believe. Or you can fast track it, simply watch the videos and the summaries, and that's about an hour a week, depending on the pace or how much pre-knowledge you have. Screenshot this. This is the link, again, to the actual free trial. So just to be clear, the program is valued at $1,997, and that's in Australian dollars. What happens is when you register, your credit card is not charged. You have access for 7 days. If you do nothing, then that will simply become processed and you'll enter the full program. If you opt out, then completely fine. Nothing further will happen in terms of payment or registration. So I want to thank you for your time today, and thank you for just listening and I guess being open to some new ideas. Sometimes it's hard to take on a new perspective, to hear a new perspective. You know, if you're like me, you've been doing it in a certain way for a long time, and it takes a lot to take that on. And I want to acknowledge you for taking the time to really listen and take this on board. If you need any further information or you'd like to reach out, please email me directly at this email, or jump on the website, milliondollarwellness.com. And of course, we're all over social media. I look forward to seeing you at our next masterclass, which will be coming up in September this year. All the very best, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.